Best in life.
Crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and play the Sega Master System on the weekends. Today, we're playing TransBot, the game where you take the role of a transsexual robot who must save the Earth from a cybernetic threat that wants to destroy all of mankind. And even though you're aware that there are members of mankind that want you dead simply because you exist, you also know that there are plenty of innocent people who don't have anything against you, and you've got to save them by saving everybody. And you're gonna do this, and you're okay with it. And you know why? Because as TransBot, you're a true hero, and you'll save everybody. You're even decked out in the trans pride flag colors, pink, white, and blue. Maybe. If you adjust the color settings on your TV. Look, there is a rather extensive backstory to this game, but it's not very good, so just go with my version. It'll make things way better. Far more interesting. But enough about introductions. Let's play the game.
In TransBot, you take the role of the pilot of the CA-214 as you try to rid the world of a cybernetic menace known as Dallas? Dalius? There's no I think it's pronounced Dallas. You see, my version's already better. At first, things seem like a typical side-scrolling shooter, but then you see this little truck come by, you shoot it, and it pops up this little round ball that has a question mark. You hit that, and these letters up top start scrolling in a sort of roulette pattern, going from A to G. And this is how you get your power-ups. With a little bit of practice, you can get good enough to stop the roulette wheel wherever you want. It's a pretty cool concept, but I didn't spend enough time playing the game to get good at that, at least not in that way. Some of the special weapons will even cause your ship to transform into its robot form, which makes it move a little bit slower and makes you a bigger target and easier to hit. However, certain weapons that do this are pretty good, like the triple shot and the it's called like the sword beam or something. It's basically this huge wall of a shot that just annihilates anything in its path. As you can see, the game scrolling looks great. The music is pretty cool. You're probably lucky that I cut out the sound effects though, as most of the shots are really high-pitched and not pleasant on the ears. But overall, everything seems very enjoyable. And then it happens. If you're like me, I got over 10 minutes of footage of pretty much what you see here, and all I could think, does this thing keep just playing on this loop? Is this just sort of an upgraded version of Space Jockey on the 2600? I'd be okay with that. I enjoyed Space Jockey, but I like to know what I'm getting into. Besides, the demo screen at the start of the game shows a different level, so I had to go online and look this up, and it turns out there are only two screens in this game, this one and the one from the demo, but I couldn't for the life of me figure out how to access the second screen. I mean, I watched a couple of videos on YouTube, and it seems like everybody's ship would eventually, after a few minutes, just get to an area with this big pipe, and they'd go into the underground base and be able to fight the next area. But I couldn't make this happen. After doing some extensive, and I mean extensive, looking around on the internet, I found out what the issue was. Turns out there's a very specific enemy you absolutely have to shoot down in order to gain access to the underground base. He's called a Hyloon, and, well, it actually got more complicated than that. Of course, the first thing I had to do is figure out which enemy is Hyloon, and fortunately, the manual for this game is really good and actually tells you who all the enemies are.
Okay, you see that? That's Hyloon, and it says, a high molecular compound that when attacked, shoots at the player by using multi-directional bullets. What it should say is that you have to destroy this in order to get to the underground compound, but it doesn't. They can go ahead and translate this manual into 5 different languages, but they can't actually tell you what you're supposed to do in order to get to the second screen of the game.
So I get back into the game, I try and find a Hyloon, and I try to shoot him down. The difficulty was, well, I couldn't seem to hurt him. So I get thinking, maybe there's a specific weapon I need to use, maybe anything other than the default weapon, I'm not really sure. So I try this again, and again, and again, with varying weapons, and no success. I mean, half the time I can't even get the weapon I want, so it just became this tedious exercise in patience. I start looking through the manual, hoping I'll get a hint, even though there was no hint that I needed to destroy Hyloon just to get into the enemy base. And that's when I see there's actually a menu you can bring up that gives you codes. And I figure I just want to show the second stage to like the 3 people who are going to watch this video. So why not use this menu? Why not just go ahead and cheat just so I can show it to you so I can be done with this? I mean, you have to remember, at this point, I'd actually been playing this game for a couple of hours. I mean, this is a game that's meant to be played in bursts of like 5 minutes, and I've been at it for like 2 hours, including that one 10-minute run I talked about. So here's how it works. The manual tells you that before you even turn the power on the system, you need to be holding down buttons 1 and 2 on the first controller, power the system on, and hold them down until the submenu pops up. Then your choices 1, 2, 3, and 4, which each correspond to up, down, left, and right on the D-pad. So they all have what they do. It's all in the manual. I say screw it, turn them all on, we're cheating anyway. Then you have to hit the 2 button on the second controller in order to exit the menu, because, it wasn't confusing enough. So now you can see we have over 10 lives, and we've made it so we have unlimited energy both for our health and for things like the actual weapons we're using. Furthermore, it's actually made it so it slows down the weapon roulette system, so you have a better chance at picking what you want. So I do this. I start playing the game, and I try weapons A, of course, B, C, and then D once I get to Hyloon. It isn't until I get to weapon D that I find out this is what is absolutely required to destroy Hyloon. And it does it in one hit. All these other weapons, you're hitting him and nothing happens. But weapon D, 1 hit, he's done. He comes at you a couple more times, you destroy them, you get to the end of this little area, and then a little pipe comes out of the ground and you fly into it. And hey, you've made it to the enemy's underground base. The second, and for the most part, final stage of TransBot. Yep, this is it. I mean, you're just flying down this corridor, fighting off your enemies, kind of like the trench run from Star Wars, but less epic. And that's not the only Star Wars reference we're gonna get here. You make it to the end of this thing, and you're met with what looks like the AT-ST, although it's a little bit more round, kind of like the Zentradi battle pods from Robotech. Yeah, so we've got like a Star Wars Robotech mishmash boss villain. You shoot him 10 times and the little red dot in the center of him, and that's it. It doesn't matter what weapon you have either. It takes 10 hits regardless. Unlike Helion, which takes 1 hit, but you have to use the exact weapon. Once this is done, the game repeats. I'm not even kidding. It just repeats. Yeah, it's just these 2 screens that repeat on an endless loop until you get a game over, or you just say. Overall, TransBot's really not a bad game for what it is, but like I said, it's akin to something on the 2600, but it's on the Master System. It looks great, the music is good, everything controls right, it does everything right, and it's fun for a couple of minutes, but it's just a tiny little time waster at best. I mean, don't forget, this is the system that gives us Fantasy Zone 1 and 2, and R-Type is on here, and Cloudmaster, and plenty of other fantastic shooters. That one that so average like TransBot just kind of gets lost. There's really no reason to play it. I mean, it's not even really an ending to it. It's just going for a high score, and more like, how long can you play this? But the game's not completely without merit. I mean, the concept is pretty neat, and the game is like stupid cheap. Like, if you have all the other shooters that I just mentioned and you want something else and you don't want to spend a lot of money, this isn't a bad one to pick up. It's that game you put in when you're about to go out and your significant other is just taking a little bit too long to get ready and you want to waste some time while you wait. You throw TransBot in. Me, though, I will likely never play this again. And here's why. You see, while I was trying to get the footage and I was doing the whole thing where I inputted the code, well, I did the code, I tried out all the different weapons. It took me a good 20 minutes to get through the whole loop and get to Helion or Hyloon again. I shoot him down, I get to the ground base, I'm thinking this is great, play through the base, hit stop on the remote on my DVD recorder only to not see the prompt pop up on the screen, because that's when I realized I never hit record. Now again, I'd been playing this game for over 2 hours at this point trying to figure all this stuff out for my tiny little review that, as I said before, as of right now anyway, only like 3 or 4 people are probably even going to watch. That's a lot to go through for something like this. And as such, well, I just downright TransBotted out.
And that's my experience with TransBot. I mean, the game got me so frustrated just doing this video and remembering all of this from when I was playing it. I've got to pet this guy to calm down. Like, that's just my experience. I don't even have anything witty to say about this before I sign off. It's such a mediocre game. Like, it's TransBot. Play it or don't. Until next time.